June 14, 2021. I'm going to test, this is 1085, 64 Rockwell. Sharpen using S Pro at 18 degrees precise. Behind the edge thickness is 14 thou. It's a little convex, so in the detail, later on I will tell you what up from it, what it looks like, how thick the bevel. The other one is the MagnaCut 65 Rockwell, 18 degrees precise, and 13 thou behind the edge thickness. Again, it's slightly convex, so in the detail I will talk and show what the number are. Heat treat 5, theta function, blah. Anyway, it's going to be doing simple. A field warp. 600 grit sharpening is fairly sharp. Gotta run out of white page. Anyway, going to be a quick field hit, 2x4, and then 2x4 there's nothing, just for fun actually. I'm gonna have a field whack. Quick check with the eucalyptus. Okay. Argentine lignum vitae. When chopping this wood, it's very hard, and also the edge here is not really a chopper geometry, but you're going to face the bad thing about it, the edge might buckle, meaning they get ripple. Anyway, it 64 Rockwell, 1085 did just fine. MagnaCut, also did just fine. And 65 Rockwell. I hear something. A little bit noise. Sometimes that stuff on the edge. I think it's okay. Definitely there's some deformation or microchip. We'll take a close-up picture at the second half of the video. Let me go back to the 1085. Well, there seems to be hesitation as well. Depend where it is. So I will using the 30x lube hunt for the worst spot and talk about it. But now I need to see big damage, visible damage. And this is where the anvil coming in. And it's an unfun part for the blade. 16D nail. And we'll do one whack, one cut. Take a pick. Oops. Almost missed it. Yeah. I don't like to pry it right now. It's not a good good thing to get pried it out. I think the because that way will break the edge. Okay, I will continue. By continue there, I got a ripple. You can see right there. So I need to cut clean. So we'll hit a little harder. Look like it also doing the similar things. Two. This one probably also another ripple. So another chip, but of course if you're pushing at it, it would chip. I mean if you try to straighten it, I think. Okay. Until I can cut through. I cut the anvil instead. There you go. The clean cut right there. It actually, the partially cut always bad for the edge, but the one that cut clean, you can see right there, clean cut. So, because when I do it an angle entry, you have lateral, and so, but again, I want to see the damage. Time for MagnaCut. I will discuss the finished complete cut through successfully, which is this cut, and this two get terrible cut here. It doesn't say much because I couldn't compare, you know, and tell me exactly what happened. But when you have a good cut, decent cut with the perpendicular to it, then at least I can compare between the two blades. Yeah, this is I think 146 thick MagnaCut here. I will try to hit toward the heel, so that way I can, or anywhere I guess, because I will reprofile this blade because this blade is too wide. This MagnaCut, and you can see where between the BT and the S and the B here. Okay, and the actually not the B, but the thickness. Another chip is a dent and a tense thing, but they did cut through, and they cut a chunk out of the anvil. I will do one more cut near the belly a little bit, and I will between the two. Let me get 3 shots and we take the one that we'll do one more shot. There. So 1, 2, 3. None of these things chip. So the heat treatment, that's what I want in terms of testing. And the one thin in that edge, and with this kind of interaction here or chopping. the 1095 will face extra test. This is a 16D nail, 6mm, 8mm, 10mm, and this half inch is 12.7mm. We'll cut along the way and see, you know, this edge is maybe a little bit, I think from chopping now, it showed that it's a little bit lack of use strength, but I did have a good chop over here. But anyway, I'm going to just cut sequence through these things. Well, I'm going to cut the 16D nail out of the front here. Okay. Six millimeter, it's right there, nothing to it. I just cut because progressively toward the heel. That way, I mean, I tried to get the damage back here, so not so much of the edge and up. That's 6mm. I cut it right there. If you don't see it from the camera, that means it's not that big compared to the reference of chopping the nail at the angle here. So I'm starting to pinch it here. I'm not tight to this. So now I'm slowly moving in. At some point, I have to flip the bar over when it gets too thick because it bends so badly. Eight millimeter. That I was just right there at the P, and you can see a little light reflecting. Not much. Now let me looking at this one of the 10 here. Is that the same thing as this 10? Yeah, pretty much. Make sure I don't mix up here. Now I've got to chop up near the 1 and the 8. Let me see my brass hammer. Okay, even though flush, looked like it didn't go through because of you end up with a dent and a sideways chip because it's already going through, and however because at an angle. So that telling me that I should flip it around because the test piece bent. This set up. Yeah, when it's chipping, it get a flake off instead of, that means it steering badly. Okay, 12.7. I might not be able to finish through it though because it's actually hard. It's already jumped off. you can see actually the brake is propagate upward through there. Nevertheless, continue, because again this is a 64 Rockwell, and up here the spine is softer, so it pretty sure that the brake didn't start from there. Okay, try to break through it, cut through it. 18 degrees precise is not the correct angle, in terms of the strength wise, because it can handle it. I've been testing at 20 degrees precise before, but I did 18 because I did job along with the MagnaCut. But I just want to see what the damage looked like. I lost the front half. This thing is not very good. I hit it at an angle, so you can see it bent sideways. You can see the ripple bent sideways. But with this much deflection and bending without chipping right there, and that's what I want to see. Test until I see the point of yield or break. And I think the line should start up soon right there. But let's see, I can use the rest of the edge and cut through this thing and call it done. I will go back to this thing here. Mango up. You can see up coloration here. This way I torch the spine, so I still have a lot of edge left. I can grind it off here, and I still have about 3.5 inches to test. And we cut through the same gap because the other one side is not very good entry. With this kind of test, a lot of time you end up with a big half moon chips if it's not tough enough. And I'm looking for that. What my heat treat subsequently tune it in is for able to take huge amount of deformation without falling apart. There you go. If I can break with my bare hand, that means it took 12.7. And also depending on how well I grind and how even it is, and how symmetrical it is, because the entry, and also the sharpening, so they can enter perpendicular all the way. If I angle by a little bit, then that's it. Would the force straight down, or sometimes I hit it this way or that way. But anyway, that's what I'm looking for. That's why I take this 1085 to it's breaking here, and also I can look at the grain size. 64, it's considered to be slightly tempered, so it's not totally untempered. In the conventional viewpoint. This is 1095 64 Rockwell initial edge right here, and as mentioned before, behind the sharpening shoulder on thickness behind the edge at the 11th thou. And when it's slightly convex, because here is where I use the belt to create a bevel, and for at this distance here, the thickness at 29 thou. So it's that one is not proportional. If this one was a V, then double this distance only be 0.22 right here. So this 2.9, so it's slightly convex. Anyway, of the one that good cut, a baton cut to the nail. Actually, not baton. Actually, I chop. Pardon me. I chop. This is what it looked like. The diameter is very small compared to, I mean, if you're looking at the 0.5 millimeter scale here. And when I'm going to chop a lot of these actually baton cut mild steel rod with diameter from 8 to, I think, 8 to 12.7 millimeter. And so what I'm looking for is how much deformation can take place before a fracture. And so some of these, after it roll and it fold over and it deflects sideways, some of it actually, I think it must be about right here. It actually, or either that or right here, right there. That little fracture right there, you see the fracture point. Yeah, everything else you can see it folded over, so it's not. So the 1085, there are a lot of toughness, but however, because use strength, it's I would say it's not optimized for cutting the steel rod. Anyways, I think it can be about 66 Rockwell, then it would be really good and it still maintain enough toughness. But if it was deformation or actually the deflection this much, it might chip out at that point. But again, I mean, I'm looking for able to cut all these steel rod. So, and as long as it doesn't deform or fracture larger than this size, then we're okay. And then when you hammer, I mean, I get a brass hammer when I hammer the spine, and because the edge is stuck in at the rod, and then when you hammer, and when I hammer in front of the rod, you create a shear force. And so, in other words, you tear the edge apart. Almost like you put something over an anvil edge and you slam on the side. And that's shear action there. Even if your steel is it's tough, it will shear through because you get maximum toughness or deformation for steel or iron. It's about 26% elongation, and after that it will snap anyway. So when you have a shear point, it didn't have time to even, or the distance of engagement is very narrow, so therefore it torn the blade apart. And of course, I will look at, and then I take the picture of the broken grain here. I know there are, a lot of information that people don't, I mean, you don't have to interpret. But what I'm looking for is here the bump. For this bump, that means there are a pit on the other end. So similarly, you see the pit on here, everywhere along opposite of the bump. In other words, then they call dimple. So you have a protruding point and a dimple on the other point. And that is the fracture that I'm looking for, because you almost like when you was you tear a cloth away or something, really have a lot of interwoven, say fiber, and so what they would torn apart look like. And now it's slightly on the other view right here, and this thing head face on. And slanted right there, you can see also ridges, raise and bump like that. MagnaCut 65 Rockwell. The initial edge ray, it's not super clean because I think that's why I think even cutting paper there slowly, you can see a lot of these things will catch. I think that's what the demo sound. It's 18 degrees precise here, and the 7 shoulder or thickness behind the edge at 13 thou. For chopping edge, this is way too thin, but however, because it's slightly convex, so a little over half, double distance up here, this is 35 thou. So it's convex. Again, if I double this distance from here to here to here, it should be 26 thou. But anyway, so this one is a low convex. It's not a big, it's a fairly flat convex. And this 35 thou. And this is, there are two, when I chop, it's not baton, it's chop. When I chop, and they happen two of the head get close together, one of the other chop is actually have a bigger damage. But again, I'm looking at the good result. And even with the worst one and the other one, I mean, it's just a deformation, it's not a chip. So, of course, if I take this blade and hammer on the back and go through all the big rod, I don't think this blade is going to survive. And the 1095 is differential because the spine is less softer, because I torched the spine, and so the spine probably about in the upper 50 Rockwell. And then 65 here, if I hit it just slightly up on top from the nail or the rod, that will split this blade in half. All right, thanks for watching.